So you want to start playing matchmaking, but also want to make sure that it'll be an enjoyable experience? Well then, dreamers, you've arrived at the right place. What's up, ProGuides fam? I'm Tia, and today we'll be going over 5 tips to help you get started for your own matchmaking journey. Wandering out to ranked can be scary, but with these tips, you'll be prepared to perform and have fun. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. The first thing that you need to do in order to prepare yourself for your own matchmaking journey is get familiar with the weapons. Because of that, the first thing I recommend anyone playing first is Arms Race. Arms Race can be found under the War Games section in the menu, and it's a great little game mode to learn about the weapons in the game and how they function. The game mode is pretty simple. You start off with an SMG, and as soon as you're able to get 2 kills or kill the enemy team leader, you'll get the next gun. As soon as you've gotten enough kills with 3 different SMGs, you move on to 4 different rifles, then 2 shotguns, followed by 2 sniper rifles, then a machine gun, and finally 4 pistols. And if you're able to even clear out of the pistols, you'll have to get 1 final kill with a golden knife, and if you do so successfully, you'll have won the game. It's really casual and fun even for more experienced players, but it's especially great if you don't know about all of the guns yet. You'll be forced to try out all the different guns, and you'll also see yourself getting better with them at a rapid pace. The first time you try it, you might not even get to use all of the different SMGs, but shortly you'll get your hands on the rifles, you'll start to develop a hate for the shotguns, and you'll even get to try out a real-life sniper rifle. Well, in-game, of course. It's because of this that it's just so unbelievably well-suited for newer players. It serves both the purpose of showing progression and gives satisfaction of moving through the weapons, but it's also really effective at introducing all the different guns and their characteristics. All in all, it makes for probably the best game mode to get started on with playing Counter-Strike, and it'll give you a head start in a fun and effective manner. Before we move on to our second tip, first we have to cover our question of the day. Today's question being, when did you start playing Counter-Strike? For me personally, it's already been years, but what about you? Have you just started playing last week, or have you been playing casually for a while now and finally want to get your hands on a shiny rank? Whatever it is, let us know in the comments down below. The next thing that you need to start worrying about once you've played some Arms Race is getting to know all the basic mechanics such as standing still when shooting, knowing how to plant and defuse bombs, and reading the minimap. Something that you might have already noticed when you were playing Arms Race is that your shots seem to hit more when you're standing still, and that's actually very true. In Counter-Strike, all guns, but especially that of the rifle's accuracy, are affected by movement. If you're standing fully still, or maybe even crouching your gun, that will be the most accurate you'll be. But when you're moving around, and the faster the speed you are moving around, your accuracy will drop. Because of that, you want to start to get used to standing still when shooting at all times, at least with the rifles and sniper rifles in the game. Running and gunning with SMGs is sort of okay and should definitely be used at close quarter combat. Standing still at mid-ranges is still preferred even with the SMGs, but if you try to run and gun with rifles at that range, you may as well buy a lottery ticket. Basically, your odds of success are pretty low. Aside from accuracy though, there's also some more things you need to know before you can hop into your first competitive game, and that's how you should plant and defuse. Planting you can do by getting into the plant zone and either holding down E or pressing 5 and holding mouse 1, which is the left mouse button. Defusing is also pretty simple. All you have to do is get close to the bomb, aim at it, and hold down E. It's simple enough, but in case you need to do it for your first time in a real competitive game, it can prove to be a bit difficult. Because of that, in order to get used to having a bomb to plant and a site to attack, or if you're on the other side, a site to defend or a bomb to defuse in order to win, we'd advise playing some Demolition. Demolition can also be found under the War Games section and serves a great way to bridge new players coming from Arms Race to the real game. The concept of getting kills in order to get a new gun stays, just this time it's done with rounds like in the real game. If you get a kill with a weapon, then the next round you'll be awarded a new gun. And on top of that, you're also tasked with defending or attacking an objective. Just get playing some Demolition, and soon enough you'll get used to the new concepts of planting and defusing, and you'll also notice the new success you're having by standing still while shooting more. Also, head on over to our website, ProGuides.com, where you'll be able to find tons of courses which will help you improve even more. And if that's not enough, we also have coaches there 24/7 to help you one-on-one. Now that you've learned the basics, there's one more thing you need to learn in order to really prepare for the big leagues, and that's the buying system. So, the way you're going to be getting your guns. Playing the game with only the standard pistols is going to be a bit difficult, so in order to avoid handicapping yourself like that, you're gonna need to learn how to buy things. The best way to do that is actually pretty simple and fun as well, and it's by just hopping into some casual and pressing the B button on your keyboard as soon as you spawn in. Once you do this, you'll be met with a buy wheel, and here you'll be able to select anything from the rifles, SMGs, heavy, pistols, grenades, and gear categories. In rifles, you'll be able to find most of the guns you'll probably want to be using, since the rifles are the most versatile, but you'll also find the sniper rifles here, which you may also be a fan of. Alternatively, if you're a bit low on money, you can buy something from the SMGs section. If you hate yourself, want to buy a XM1014, or have a wonky strategy in mind, you can buy a shotgun or light machine gun from the heavy section. If it's the pistol round, eco round, or you want to have a secondary for your sniper rifle, that can be arranged in the pistols section. If you've already learned a thing or two about grenades and want to use them, you can obviously find them in grenades, and the gear section is going to really be useful for when you're playing a real competitive match where you don't just get armor and a defuse kit for free, but actually need to buy them yourself. Kevlar vests in there will be great to help reduce incoming damage in your upper body, and it'll also make sure that you'll remain accurate and your screen won't completely shake when you're getting shot. The Kevlar plus additional helmet option will give you both a Kevlar vest and a helmet. The second one will help you with surviving more headshots, for example from weapons like the pistols and even most rifles. And it also makes sure that your screen won't completely shoot up in case you do get headshot. The defuse kit, which is only available on the CT side, will half the time you need to defuse a bomb, from 10 to 5 seconds, which is extremely useful. And finally, the Zeus is just a funny gun that has a single bullet and will taser anyone that dares to come close enough. Nonetheless, it's a pretty difficult gun to use though, so I wouldn't really recommend buying it, just know it exists. In casual, just continue getting used to the way the game plays, and start buying your favorite guns. I'd advise starting with picking out your favorite weapons both in the rifles and SMG section, and buying them whenever you can. That way, you'll have developed a few go-to guns early on, which you'll also be able to use in competitive matches. Now that you've got all that you need to know, there's only 2 more steps to go. Firstly, get yourself a favorite map, or at least one where you're going to be starting out your adventure. In your time playing casual, you probably already got a few maps you liked and a few maps you disliked. So just look at the competitive menu and see which maps you recall as being fun and which ones you really don't feel like playing. I'd really recommend starting out with a single map first. Learning a map well takes a while, and it's really not that fun unless you're already familiar with all the other important mechanics in the game. If you insist of queuing for all maps, focus on one at first, you'll be able to get better at it much faster. You'll learn about all the positions, and you'll learn a lot more about the game in general. Then, once you're a fairly experienced player, you can take all of those concepts which you learned about in your first map and apply it to your new project. Just in general, it makes the learning progress a lot more seamless and fun. Having to worry about too many things while also not knowing what you're going to spot around the corner is just a tad bit too much to really be enjoyable. So, once you pick the map, what now? Well, firstly, I'd recommend just walking around it a bit at first, without the worry of enemy players. To do this, just go into your game menu and select the option of playing offline with bots, and then opting for no bots. That way you'll be free to explore the map to your heart's desire. You can find all the cool spots, have a good look at the bomb site and the positions you can play there, and even think about how you'd want to go about attacking it. Oh, and also glance at the spots where you can plant. Maybe even think about the positions you would be able to play if you do get the bomb down. In general, just try to get a decent feel for the map and the spots you might be able to play. Alright, so you learned about all the concepts, you picked your favorite map, and you even want to explore it. What's next? What's the final thing you need to do to be ready? I'm glad you asked. The last thing is brace yourself. Not to try and scare you, but Counter-Strike can sometimes be a bit of a toxic place, especially for newer players. I personally always try to guide friends I introduce to Counter-Strike to hopefully make their experience better and less toxic. So if you have a friend that introduced you to it as well, you could maybe ask to play with them together. But if that's not the case and you're really in for it alone, make sure you're ready for some toxicity to come your way, especially if you're still very much learning. And no, it definitely won't be every game, and I do think the majority of your time playing is going to be enjoyable. But just in case you have to, make sure you know how to mute someone. Which, by the way, you can do by holding down Tab, then clicking the right mouse button, clicking on toxic player's name, and finally clicking the speaker icon. We'd even recommend reporting their behavior by also clicking on the danger icon under that of the speaker, and then clicking abusive communications or profile and submit. It might seem like a bit of a dumb tip, but honestly, I'm sometimes just ashamed to introduce people to the game with how toxic the community can be. chances are that people in your rank aren't really understanding of the fact that you're playing one of your first games, and they probably forgot that one day they were learning themselves. Don't let that stop you though, because if you followed all the steps in this short but to the point guide, you'll be able to do fine. Definitely much better than most newer players. Of course, you're not going to play like a pro in your very first game, but you know, close enough. Just have some fun, enjoy the game, and don't forget to buy armor. Well guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video, but do not stress. We have loads more content coming on this channel, so make sure you are subscribed. With that said, I wish you the best of luck grinding and matchmaking, and I'll see you in the next one. Finger guns.